First, I want to express appreciation to the governor for September. We would not have had a special session on down through that had he not had a cooperative effort, something that in my legislative experience we have not typically seen. Once we finish our legislative responsibility, the executive branch has been a little more domain with what they do. So I want to express that real appreciation. Great deal of help. I think it showed good fiscal management on both the legislative and executive side, what we did in September. End of the first quarter, $350 million down. End of the second quarter, a second $350 million down. And this time, the governor chose not to call us into special session, waiting for us to get to the point we are right now. The efforts that are taking place right now are looking to manage the reductions in the 09, the year that we are in. It's become more difficult without a special session because we have less time. We have the same amount of money to recapture back, but I have less time in which we are to manage that. So the cuts that we're having to address now by the delay in having us address them are going to be deeper and far more felt than they would have been. $350 million in 09. Pretty difficult to do things in the middle of school year, pretty difficult to do things in certain aspects, but we're going to find a way to balance the budget, and we'll backfill some of it to lessen the impact, but we have to retract $350 million. As was mentioned here, we don't have an option. We're looking at today's discussions by each of the appropriation committees are looking to solve this particular math problem. Last January, February, March, we put together a budget that says $450 million is what we will spend on an average each month. The reduction in the economy and where we are today says we are only collecting $380 million each month. You can do the math very quickly. Over $2 million a day, spending more than we're bringing in. We cannot continue that. In fact, in November, we only brought in $300 million. I'm not sure what the December numbers are, but I know they're less than what we were in December a year ago. You can see the trajectory that we're on, why we think it's important that we should have been here before, and why we are addressing this prior to the session in these couple of budget days. We're going to try and figure out what that proper reduction is. We don't have an option. Today we're looking at all of the tough issues that are associated with this. You said about bonding. Bonding, for somewhere out in the press, there's been this aversion, statement that we have an aversion to bonding. If you remember last year, we talked about and gave UDOT the authorization to go ahead with well over $2 billion worth of planning, and we talked about the I-15 bonding program. That's not an aversion to bonding. It's a tool. We have worked very diligently to keep a AAA credit rating. What for? So when we need to borrow, we can do it in the most cost-effective way to do it. And we're going to continue to do that. So as far as bonding for roads and trading out, I think there's been a lot more disparity than there actually is. We would like to have been called into session so that we could manage this process earlier. Spending $2 million a day for 100 days between when we first started and when the end of the session is not good management. Good management is to put us back in session and solve this problem. We're going to use every tool at our hand. That includes cuts. There'll be a reduction. That includes perhaps the bonding, maybe substitution of bonding for projects that are in hand. We're going to find and use all the tools that are available to keep a well-managed state well-managed.